Have you ever been told to hit down on the golf ball? Well, I can tell you this, professionals know how to do that, and amateurs lots of times just simply do not. The good news is by the end of this video is you're going to understand exactly how to do that, and I can promise you it's not nearly as difficult as most people tell you. I'm PGA teaching professional Todd Cope, Director of Instruction for US Golf TV and the Sanford Power Golf Academy. And there's nothing better than helping people hit better quality golf shots. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about here today. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And at the end of this video, if you like what I had to say, or maybe you didn't like what I had to say, or even you got a couple questions, be sure to leave those in the comments because I always do my best to answer every single one of them. So let's dive right into this. We're talking about hitting down on the golf ball. If you want to be a good iron player, you've got to hit down on the golf ball. There's no other way around that, all right? So how are we going to do that? Well, first of all, let's talk about what that actually means, hitting down on the ball. When we swing the golf club, I don't care what your golf swing looks like, I don't care what you shoot, every golf swing has what we call a low point. The low point is where the club is at its lowest point in the golf swing. All right, so when I start my swing, the club's on the ground, and when I move the club away from the ball, it starts to work up. When I start to go forward or towards the target, the club starts to travel back down until it either hopefully comes in contact with the ball or the ground, and then it starts to work back up. That point where it is at its lowest is what we call the low point. Now the key is that we've got to have the low point slightly in front of the ball. I'm going to repeat that because that's important. The key here is you got to have the low point slightly in front of the ball. So how can we do that? Well, the first thing you're going to do is simply check your ball position. This is an easy way and to maybe fix the problem. When you're set in there, I've got an 8-iron. When I'm set in here, I want that 8-iron to be pretty much in the middle of my stance. All right, if I've got that ball too far forward up here, I don't care how good your golf swing is, the low point is in the wrong spot. You're going to be hitting up on it. You're not going to hit a quality iron shot. So position that ball so it's basically about in the center of your stance. When you do that, that's going to help you catch the ball a little bit on the downswing, i.e. the ball behind the low point, and you're going to hit a quality iron shot. All right, so that's number one. Now before we dive into the second tip, I also want to tell you about greatgolftipsnow.com. Greatgolftipsnow.com. If you head over there, I've covered things just like we're talking about right here, and it's all free. It's a free video series that I put together to help my fellow golfers. It's hugely popular. Be sure to check that out. Now the second thing we want to talk about right here is handle position. So here's what I want you to know. This is, let me just kind of go through this real quick. When the handle, right up here guys and gals, when the handle is behind the club head, what you need to know is that in essence, in all factors, moves the bottom of the swing, the low point, backwards. When the handle is in front, all things being equal, that moves the low point forward, which is exactly what we want if we want to hit down on the golf ball. So if we know that, when you're set in there, just simply move the handle a little bit in front of the ball. If I do this, move the handle forward, that's going to help me move the low point forward and once again hit slightly down on the golf ball. So that would be the second tip that I would give you. So I don't know if you like that tip or not. I'd love to hear from some of you in the comments or the questions below. Be sure to fire those in there, and maybe you got another tip that might help people hit down on the golf ball. Be sure to throw that in and we'll check it out. Now the last thing I want to talk about here is something that we can do in the actual golf swing. So in the golf swing, now this isn't 100% true, but I found it to be about 85% true. In the transition, if the golfer feels like they're pulling the club with their lead hand, that will also help move the bottom of the swing forward. The opposite of that would be if they accelerate the club with their trail hand, which for me would be my right hand. When I accelerate it with my right hand, okay, that moves the bottom of the swing backwards. And if you recall our tip that we talked about in the handle position, remember the second tip we talked about there? When I pull with the lead hand, what does that do? Moves the handle forward. When I accelerate with the trail hand, for me the right hand, that moves the handle backwards and causes the low point to go backwards. So if you're hitting behind the golf ball, it could be because you're not pulling the club, you're throwing the club. So that would be the other one that I would give you. So next time you head to the golf course, now we understand this low point, all these types of things. We've got a couple ways to check it. When you head to the golf course, here's what I want you to do. When you're making practice swings or your pre-shot routine, grip it with just your lead hand and make some swings with just your lead hand. And when you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to get a feel of kind of pulling that club through the impact or through the strike zone. Set up, go ahead and get in there, repeat that feel, and you're probably going to move that low point a little bit forward and hit a quality golf shot. So hopefully those tips help you. Be sure to subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you again next time here at US Golf TV.